They called her barren for 4 years. They mocked her in church, insulted her in the village, and even in her own husband's house, she became a stranger. But what nobody knew was that Ogechi was carrying a secret powerful enough to destroy a family. The day the truth finally came out, everybody was shocked. This is the story of Ogechi, a woman whose only mistake was loving her husband and keeping his secret. Ogechi was the kind of woman people turned twice to look at. Her skin shone like morning sunlight after rain, and her smile alone could settle quarrels in the market. Then there was Zikora, whom everybody called Ziko. Ziko was what Nigerians call complete spec. Tall, hardworking, responsible, and deeply in love with his wife. When these two got married, the wedding nearly caused traffic in the whole city. People were whispering, if marriage were an exam, these two have already scored A1. They were couple goals before hashtags were even invented. Everywhere they went, heads turned. They laughed together, traveled together, and loved each other openly. In fact, some single people stopped attending their outings because their love was stressing others emotionally. Now, Oge and Ziko made one decision many Nigerians' relatives do not support. They said, let us enjoy our marriage first. 1 full year of pure romance. No diapers, no baby formulas, no midnight crying. Just us, enjoyment and soft life. My people, marriage is sweet until relatives remember that babies has not yet arrived. Ogechi and Ziko were busy enjoying their marriage peacefully, traveling together, eating shawarma, sleeping like government officials on holidays. They forgot one important thing, that in our society, once you are married, your womb automatically becomes a community property. 6 months into the marriage, the amebo started. First, it was Mama Chinedu, the woman who sells roasted corn by the junction. She would see Oge passing and scream, Ogechi, my daughter, you are glowing, oh, but this your stomach is still flat like plywood. Are you people fasting? We are waiting for our naming ceremony rice, oh. Oge would just laugh it off. In the women's fellowship, the gossip was louder than the praise and worship. Sister Blessing would lean over Sister Rose and whisper, see Ogechi, she's wearing a tight belt. Is she trying to squeeze the baby out, or is there nothing inside? One Sunday after service, Sister Marachi would hug Oge. Mind you, not a normal hug, but a diagnostic hug. She would press her stomach against Oge's stomach to see if she could feel a bump. Sister Oge, I had a dream. I saw you carrying 2 babies, she would whisper. Are you sure you aren't hiding anything? Or are you people still doing honeymoon? Abeg, do fast and give us a baby, Joe, Shakara girl. But Oge would just smile and went her way. An elderly woman in their church approached her one evening and said like someone who has full permission to Oge's private life, Sister Ogechi, you are looking very healthy. Her eyes performing an ultrasound scan on Oge's stomach. Should we start buying baby diapers? Ogechi will smile and say politely, God's time is the best, Mama. But God helps those who help themselves. The woman pressed on. I have a herbalist in my village. Very powerful. 1 drink and you'll be carrying twins by December. Oge just smiled and dismissed her. Even Oge's own mother began to call. Oge, my daughter, I hope you haven't forgotten the way to your husband's bedroom. I'm not getting any younger, and my back is itching to carry a grandchild. Mama, you worry too much. Don't worry, you will surely carry your grandchildren, Oge will say calmly to her mother. When 1 year of enjoyment ended and turned into 2 years of trying, The atmosphere shifted. The laughter in their home grew quieter, but their love was still as fresh like fresh bread from the oven. Then came the Christmas trip to the village. Oge and Zico had traveled to the village to spend Christmas there. If you think city neighbors are bad, the village relatives are the advanced level. The moment their SUV pulled into the family compound, the air felt thin. Ogechi stepped out, and before she could even reach for her mother-in-law's hand, the old woman's gaze had already dismissed her face and settled on her womb. "Welcome," Mama Zico said with a dry voice. Every time Oge greeted an elder, they wouldn't look her in the eye. They would look at her stomach, sigh, and shake their heads as if she were a poor harvest. Oge would say, "Mazi, good afternoon." The old man would grunt, look at her flat stomach and say, "Is that all you brought from the city?" What Ogechi didn't know was that the real problem was not coming from where everyone was looking. That evening, while Mama Zico served Oge's co-wives, who were either breastfeeding or pregnant, big portions of food, she gave Ogechi a tiny portion. "Oge, take this small one. Since you are still light and haven't carried any load for us, you don't need much energy, abi? Those who are carrying heavy loads for my sons need the food more than you." Nkechi and Adugo, Oge's co-wives, were walking around with their stomachs pointing to the North Star. Nkechi will intentionally drop her wrapper and ask Oge, "Daughter of our land, please help me pick it up. My pregnancy is heavy and I cannot bend. I'm sure you can easily bend since your body is still like a gymnast's." Oge began to regret that 1 year wait. She cried in her room, but Zico was always there. He would wrap his arms around her and say, "My love, ignore them. You are my wife, not a baby-making machine. When the time is right, it will happen." He consoled her and angrily walked into the kitchen and announced, "Mama, if you don't stop this your attitude towards my wife, I will forget that you are my mother and change it for you. And you, Nkechi, if your stomach is too heavy, go to your husband's room and rest. Leave my Oge alone. I won't take it lightly with anyone who directly or indirectly insults my wife again." The next day, they went back to their base since the village wasn't conducive for them. Back in the city, they went to see a specialist. The waiting room was filled with women. Zico was the only man there, and he sat proudly by his wife. After several tests, the doctor called them in. The doctor adjusted his glasses. He looked at the papers and then at Zico and said something that froze the room. "Zico, your wife is perfectly fine, but your results show a very low sperm count. It's a medical condition, but it can be managed. It is what we call oligospermia." The room went silent. Ogechi felt a rush of emotions. Relieved that it wasn't her fault, but immediate heartbreak for her dear husband. Zico looked like a man who had been hit by a trailer. For a traditional African man, this was like a death sentence to his ego. But Zico looked at Ogechi, who was already holding his hand, and said, "Doctor, tell me what to do. I will do whatever it takes." The doctor banned everything fun. No more alcohol, no tight underwears, no hot baths, etc., etc. Zico, who loved his co-star beer after a long day of work, suddenly became a water and zobo ambassador. He would be at a party and friends would push a bottle to him. "Zico, take one now." But he would reply, "No, my brother, my body is now a temple. I am on a mission." He took his drugs religiously, never missed any dose. He traded his fitted trousers for loose, unflattering boxers that he joked looked like a parachute sales. He was a man on a mission, but the world outside didn't know the mission. They only saw Ogechi, and they concluded she was the problem. While they were fighting this battle in private, the world was throwing stones. Mama Zico moved into their city house like a monitoring spirit. She brought her daughter Antonia with her, and they turned Oge's life into a nightmare. They would talk about her in her presence as if she were a piece of furniture. A house with no child is just a glorified warehouse, the mother-in-law would say while Oge served them tea. The boiling point happened in the kitchen. Oge cooked a delicious bitterleaf soup with calculated pieces of meat. 2 for her, 2 for Antonia, 2 for her mother-in-law, and the 4 big ones for Zico. She had carefully selected the best pieces of meat for her husband, hoping the protein would aid his recovery. Antonia walked into the kitchen, humming a taunting tune. She took a massive bowl and dished out nearly all the fufu, and then, with a smirk, scooped every single piece of meat from that pot. "Antonia," Ogechi said, her voice trembling but firm, "I kept that for your brother. He is working late and he needs his strength. Why did you pack everything, including the one I and Mama will eat?" Antonia turned, her eyes flashing. "Your husband or my brother? Because as far as I see, you are just a tenant in this house. A man does not build a house for a woman who cannot fill it with voices. You are a dry well, Ogechi. You have no right to tell me how to enjoy my brother's money." "Don't speak to me like that," Ogechi warned and reached for the plate of soup. "Tuai!" Antonia dashed her a hot slap. The slap was so sudden Ogechi's vision blurred. The stinging heat on her cheek was nothing compared to the fire that ignited in her soul. Without thinking, Ogechi's hand flew out. Tuai tuai! A double dose of reality landed on Antonia's face. "I have been silent out of respect for the womb that bore my husband," Ogechi hissed, pinning Antonia's hand to the wall. "But if you think my silence is weakness, you are about to learn a very painful lesson. Get out of my kitchen." The house was in an uproar when Zico returned. His mother was wailing as if a death had occurred, clutching Antonia. "She has beaten my daughter. This barren woman has raised her hand against the blood of the family. Zikora, if you do not throw this woman out tonight, you are no longer my son," the mother fired. Zico looked at Ogechi. He saw the red mark on her cheek. He saw the quiet, tired strength in her eyes. The woman who had carried his secret like a crown of thorns for years. "Mother," Zico said, his voice dangerously low, "the only person leaving this house is you and Antonia." "What?" the mother asked, surprised. He looked at his mother in the eye. "Mother, you call her barren. You call her a man. Let me tell you the truth you don't want to hear. My wife is perfect. I am the one with the problem. I am the one the doctor is treating. Ogechi has been covering my shame while you have been trying to destroy her. And for 3 years, she has let you insult her, spit on her, and mock her just to protect my pride. She is a queen, and you are not worthy to eat at her table." The silence that followed was so heavy it felt as if the walls were closing in. Mama Zico's mouth hung open, her insults dying in her throat. Her strong son was the one, she thought to herself. Zico didn't stop there. "Pack your bags, all of you. If you cannot love the woman who loves me enough to hide my weakness, you are not welcomed in this house." The following Sunday in the church, the pastor shouted, "All women seeking the fruit of the womb, come to the altar for prayers." A sea of women moved, but then a man walked out. It was Zikora. He held Oge's hand and walked right to the front. The congregation was whispering, "Is Zico okay? Is he the one who wants to conceive?" Zico took the mic. "People of God, stop this. It takes a man and a woman to make a baby. Why do we only pray for the women? I'm here with my wife because we are a team. Pray for the couples, not just the wives. Pastor, stop calling only the women. It takes two to tango." The pastor was humbled. He changed his prayer point that day. The narrative in the church shifted from barren women to waiting couple. And then, after 4 years of bitter herbs, prayers, tears, and Zico defending Oge like a lion, then one Tuesday morning, the smell of frying onions made Ogechi vomit. She ran to the bedroom and used the pregnancy strip. She sat down on the floor staring at 2 red lines, tears of joy rolling down her cheeks. When the baby finally arrived, she was the splitting image of Zico, but she had Oge's calm eyes. They named her Kamsiyochukwu, as I asked God. Mama Zico arrived, bearing gifts of expensive wrappers and jars of palm oil, weeping at Ogechi's feet. "Forgive me, my daughter," the old woman sobbed. "All I wanted was to carry my grandchild by all means. I am truly sorry for all I made you go through." Ogechi simply smiled. She had nothing to prove to anyone. She had protected her home, her husband, and her heart, and that was what mattered to her most. During the child dedication in the church, when they stood to give their testimony, the whole church was in tears. Oge revealed how she had stayed silent for years, taking the insults, taking the slaps, and taking the blame just to protect her husband's dignity. My people, this story teaches us never to judge a situation we do not understand. Marriage is a journey of 2 people, not a burden for one. Sometimes, the person we mock today may be fighting a secret battle silently. Let us learn to show kindness, patience, and love to one another. If you love real African stories that teach life lessons, consider joining our storytelling family by subscribing. Until our next story, remember, every smile you see may be hiding a silent prayer. Bye!